You are listening to Into a Dream, two friends in conversation about all things intuition and dreaming.
Hi, I'm Peggy Sue Honeyman-Scott. I am a teacher, healer, speaker, and writer of all things intuitive.
Hello, my name is Carr, and I'm a dreaming guide, a death doula, an author, and a psychic medium.
Episode 1. The supernatural is the natural.
We were talking yesterday about the supernatural
Yeah.
and the natural.
When you're working with intuition and you're working with someone and you get bits of insight or information and they get so surprised and they go, oh my gosh, like it feels very supernatural. And the word I was using was, it's natural, being able to tune into people and receive insight, wisdom, or guidance, or even messages from ancestors. It's actually a very natural thing to do.
Somewhere in life in the last, 40, 50 years, supernatural has become something woo-woo or something different. Or I guess it's really hasn't changed much. It's gone from like witches to, which were just healers, people who knew about plants and herbs and healing and energies. And then it's gotten slightly better every decade. Mm-hmm. So we're coming out of the woo-woo and people are now embracing the woo-woo. I hate that word. I don't even like that word. Or supernatural. But yeah. I like natural.
We're natural. Because I think innately as humans, some of us are more sensitive and more intuitive than others because of disposition or because of their own personal journeys. But I do think that we all have the ability to tune into these more subtle sensitivities of the realms of intuition and the realms of what people would consider the supernatural. So all the clairvoyant abilities that come with being highly intuitive and highly sensitive. But I think also the word supernatural comes about because of, how our society views it through films, literature, and through the media. These sort of innate, natural, sensitive, intuitive abilities are seen as something that don't fit within the current construct of our scientific community and our kind of reductionist point of view here in our society. So it's considered beyond the realms of science.
Okay, here's the definition. Attributed to some force beyond scientific understanding or the laws of nature.
Yes. And so therefore it's called things like bullshit or woo-woo or it's not natural, it's supernatural, therefore it's we need to doubt it and it's fairy tale stuff and it's magical thinking or whatnot. But the thing is with science, that doesn't fit within our current laws of science, but science is ever evolving, so there's so much we still do not know.
We're finding out every day.
And we need to keep it open. So working like with science, it's good to have the tests and the experiments that back up a theory, but what causes a theory in the first place, what starts a theory in the first place is some kind of mystical experience. Sometimes these ideas come through in the dream realm, sometimes they come through in active imagination. So
curiosity,
exploration. So it all starts with the seed of an idea. And where does an idea come from? It's from
the supernatural.
But it's natural though, right? So I think working alongside with science and pushing things forward and keeping an open mind to possibility, that's how we grow and evolve.
Well, I think, and also scientists start with a question. They're like, well, why is that this way? Let's find out how it is. Right? They actually want the background information about why something is the way it is.
It's funny though, because even though our current laws of science would argue that things like precognition doesn't exist and life after death doesn't exist.
What about ghosts?
Yeah, a huge portion of our population have had experiences and believe belief that this is a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
That we can somehow tune into different timelines, past, present, and future sight, future vision, talking with the dead, sensing someone might be ill, sensing it, having the intuition to even act on an idea.
Well, like detectives have got to be intuitive. They follow their intuition.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would say that, but or they would say gut. I follow my gut, or it's a hunch.
Mm-hmm.
Columbo would say that. I got a hunch.
But yeah, I think that these realms are not supernatural. I think they're natural, and they've been called supernatural because
they're unexplainable.
By science at the moment. But I really think that in the future we will be able to say that these things actually exist. Yeah. It's kind of like with lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming has been around for thousands of years. I mean, since humans have been, alive and walking and conscious and dreaming, we've had lucid dreaming. And there's loads of ancient texts and records of lucid dreaming going all the way back to Vedic times. And it's incredible. But science only discovered lucid dreaming in a lab in 1975.
How did they discover it?
Dr. Keith Hearn, and he started conducting sleep lab experiments along with EEG brainwave tests. And he started conducting these experiments with sleepers and dreamers, and he wanted to prove that lucid dreaming existed. So he gave the dreamer, a task. In the sleep lab, they recorded the EEG brainwave trace and the EOG eye movement trace and also the EMG muscle activity trace. Watch the brainwaves to see if consciousness was in fact gained through the sleep state and through the dream state. And it did. It was April 12th, 1975. They got the first peak of the brainwave that referred to consciousness being gained within the dream state. And I've talked to Dr. Keith Hearn before. I've been on a panel with him at the Freud Museum for a dream event. And he said when they first saw the brainwave kind of like spark up and change and indicate consciousness, he said it was like receiving a message from the deepest, darkest part of the galaxy that there was like a life form there. He said it just blew all of their minds. Oh. So that's a good example of humans being able to experience something that they couldn't scientifically explain for thousands and thousands of years. There's a lot of records of it, and there's a lot of people who are doing it on a constant basis. But it took for there to be a lab experiment done in 1975 to go, actually, yes, this exists now, and we can actually say, thumbs up, lucid dreaming does exist, and it's not just this supernatural anomaly or people are making this stuff up. So that's just an example.
How could everybody be making up, or not everybody, but a large amount of the population be making up the same story?
Well, I know, right? And it's kind of like
different parts of the world who don't even know each other.
And there's also the stuff with mediumship, right? How is a person who doesn't know a situation, doesn't know someone's life or know someone's, get things like names come through or how someone looks or these snippets of information? How on earth does that happen? It could be coincidence. You could say, leave it to that. So when I do work in mediumship, experiences happen and I see the shift that it gives the other person and the healing it gives, I go, this is real. This is meant to be. We have these abilities to help one another. We don't have these abilities for like entertainment purposes. To be the Las Vegas medium that's kind of like, hey, come on up, I'm going to talk to your dead grandparents. And
right.
It's there to connect with us, to heal us, to release us.
I think we're definitely on the road to being connected like that again, and for that stuff to be natural. A lot of the young people are talking about it now. It's just talking about it, And now that we have the internet, you can see people talking about it, and it's not such a taboo. We're all doing it. We all can do it. We all have the ability to do it.
So how would you guide someone who wants to start deepening their intuition? What's a good, like, sort of little tip to help someone connect more?
There's so much, but probably the first thing is to be quiet. Have a little bit of time every day to just be quiet. It doesn't have to be meditative. Just be quiet and just listen, because then your other senses get more heightened. And just things like if you're walking down the street and there's people behind you, just tune into their conversation and listen to them. It's not eavesdropping. You're just you're paying attention. I walk down the street and I hear people. I catch conversations all the time. And sometimes I'll slow down and listen a little harder, because it's just interesting to me. I'm fascinated by it, but it's also turning up that ability, to hear things that you're not looking at. Something's behind you, or just listening to the wind. We can't see the wind, but we can hear it. We can feel it. Right? Otherwise, how do we know it's windy unless we see the trees blowing? So yeah, it's just, I would say tip number one is just to slow down and give yourself 5 minutes a day.
Yeah, that's really good. And it helps pull us into the present moment, and it helps to calm the chatter of our minds as well as deepening our intuition. And what would you say are some physical symptoms that you can get within your body that are linked to intuition?
You mean like hits, intuitive hits?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely gut. I've had my gut just completely spaz out on me before. It was giving me a very direct message. Some people get chills up their arms or up their back or in their, on their hair. People say, "Oh, my hair stood up on end." Well, listen to that. Some people get little twitches in their eyes. Some people sneeze a lot. I've been talking to people and all of a sudden I'll just start coughing and I'm like, I feel like there's nothing wrong with me. Something's going on. And I don't know what it is, but you just pay attention to what's going on in the moment. Those little signs, I always go, stop, listen, look around, just like, what's going on? What was that? Listen, rehear what you just last said. What was the last sentence you said or the last sentence you heard? And just pay attention. The more you do that, you'll start connecting the dots. I had a friend who always I just put this together. Oh, he always had a pain in his left knee when something was trying to come through. But it just made me think of knee-jerk reaction. That's something we say all the time, but we don't, it's an intuitive, reaction.
Yeah, it's a hit, like you said. It's an intuitive hit.
Yeah.
I've had it before, intuitive hits that come in as a ringing in my ear.
Yes, yeah.
And have you had that?
Yes, I have, yeah.
I find when I get that, like a high-pitched squeal that will just come out of nowhere, like, and then I'll go, okay, what am I paying attention to now? Let's tune in a bit.
Yeah, and it's good to ask questions. That's always great, to either just stop and just listen and look, or not, just close your eyes. But it's also to just go like, okay, what do I need to know?
Mm-hmm.
What was that? What are you trying to tell me? If you just ask simple questions, not expecting an answer to be slapped in your face, but maybe an awareness to show up at some point.
And I think that's really important, is to being able to have the patience after you receive a hit. Because sometimes the universe doesn't work that way, where we want an instant answer. Sometimes it's a bit of a journey. So you get the little hit and you just remain aware and open and conscious. And it might be a week later, it could be a day later, it could be a month later.
It could be a year later.
Yeah. But to be patient too with your intuitive hits.
And once you are aware of that first time, you might have had them before and thought, I think that's what it was. Yeah, okay, we'll start today. And when you notice it, just be aware of it. then you're going to be more aware of the next time and more aware of the next time. And then you'll notice that it's happening all the time. It's just when you decide to be aware of it. Because sometimes we're so busy, we're running around, we get a hit, and we're just so busy trying to get from A to B. We acknowledge it for a second, but we keep going. And then sometimes later on, another day, I'll go, oh, that happened when I was on the train, and that, oh, okay. And I'll piece it together.
Yes.
But those 5 minutes every day help me to go back and rewind and collect. So it's practice. It's like going to the gym.
Yeah.
You got to work that muscle.
Totally. Another intuitive hit I get sometimes is I see light with my bare eye, like with my naked eyes. So little sparks of light will come up, and usually they're like indigo blue. It's like if you've ever, there are loads of them in the United States. Fireflies.
Yes.
A firefly comes up, it swells up, and then it kind of goes, and then it's gone again. They're a bit like that. They're indigo blue. Sometimes they're the size of like a dime, and then sometimes they're a bit bigger, like the size of an apple, quite big, and they're more golden and white.
So right in front of you or in a distance?
No, it's usually around a person. So I'll be speaking with a person, and then I'll get this spark of light will come out, and it makes me, it feels like an intuitive hit to pay attention and tune into this person. And sometimes I'll get it when I'm just sitting there thinking about somebody, and then I'll see it just appear in front of me. So I find that those are intuitive hits.
So what do you do with that information? Oh, blue light. So what do you do?
I just pay attention. So I'll just listen, and then usually I'll get some insight about the person. Like give that person a call or send that person an email. It's usually just get in contact. Connection. Yeah. Usually connection.
And probably 10 times out of 10, they'll go, oh my God, I was thinking about you.
Yeah, there's a lot of that happens. So the intuitive hits can come in so many different ways. Like you said, you can feel it in your gut. You can hear a ringing in your ear. You might, see something, see a flash of light or something in the corner of your eye. Chills, you said chills, or the energy feeling.
And one wonderful thing I learned years ago was about light and heavy. Like when you're trying to find an answer for something, if you use the energy of light and heavy. So if somebody asks you a question like, do you want to go to the movies? And you kind of go, that's probably a no if you're even thinking about it for a second, but you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. So you go, well, I've got something else I have to do, right? Instead of just going, no, I can't, or whatever. You're sort of negating your intuition, where right away you got an instant hint that it was a little heavy. And it doesn't mean it's heavy and it's bad. It just means if you're aware of what feels really super light to you and what you feel is a little heavy, then that can be an indication of instead of like a gut ache, it could be a light and a heavy. Or you could use, like a friend of mine used to say, she would get like a neon, a yes and a no over to her right and her left. Yes on the right, left on the no. That's how
great.
Isn't it interesting?
Because it's really clear.
Yeah. It's like Las Vegas. Yes. No. And I watched this wonderful video. It's on YouTube. It's about a panther, I think. Those black big cats. It's gorgeous. And it was about a pet communicator. Did you see that? Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
You've got to watch it. It's about 60 minutes long. Then there's also a little 20-minute snippet, but the long one is beautiful. And she was asked to go to a animal sanctuary in Africa, where they took in pets from like circuses and abandoned pets and pets that got hurt and stuff like that. And they were brought 2 little cubs and this jaguar, and they put him out in this giant pasture, and he had like a little wooden box that was open-ended that he'd go into sleep, because they just like to be covered, right? And I mean, he was on acres, and they said he didn't come out of that box. So they heard about this pet communicator, and she went there, and she said she went up to the fence and just looked at him, and she said she communicated that he was scared, he didn't want to be used for anything, and he wanted to know that the cubs were okay, that they'd been taken care of. And so she's communicated with him. Yes, she asked the guy behind her, "Are the cubs okay?" Yeah, everything's fine. And he said, "And I want my name changed," because they called him Diablo. So they changed his name to Spirit.
Oh, wow.
I think that's what it's under. Spirit is the name of the video. And so apparently right after that he came out, and he was fine ever since, right? And and the man who didn't believe in it at all, the husband-wife team, that the husband did not believe in this, he thought, oh, what a bunch of hogwash bringing somebody in to talk to the animals. Yeah, right. It was completely changed his mind. And he said he was out in the field walking one day, and pretty good distance from him, and he said he looked at him and just in his mind went, "Wow, you are really handsome." And he looked at him and went, "Rawr." And he went, "Oh my God, did he just respond to me?" And he goes, "Yeah, you are really handsome." And he went, "Rawr." He did it again. I think he did like 3 or 4 times. I'm like, oh my God, it's awesome. So anyway, they followed this pet communicator. They wanted to see if they could track an animal. That's what it was. And so it was her teacher, the pet communicator, animal communicator's teacher, who was South African, I think. So they took a group of people and the cameramen and everybody, and they were going to go track an elk. And so he would walk along, and then he'd look at the ground, and then he would see a little footprint of the elk. And he'd get down and he'd take a little of the dirt and rub it between his hands, smell it like that, and go, "Which way should we go?" "Oh, we'll go this way," right? And go to the right. So they all start going to the right. And he would also ask, what is it, light or heavy? "Oh, it's light to go this way." So that was one of the tools that he used. And that the Afrikaans said in their language, they were like, "We use light and heavy. Well, if it's light to do this, that means yes," and right. And then they followed it, and then it was getting night, and then they found where the elk had been laying down, his little mark in the grass. So he laid down where the elk did, and he sort of touched it and just was communing with it, the energy that was there, and went, "Oh, we got to go that way." And then they all trek up, and then the guy said, "Oh, sun's going down, doesn't look like we're going to see the elk." And they're looking over at the horizon where the sun's just about to drop, and then all of a sudden you see these horns pop up, and they're like, "Oh my God, there's the elk." So they just followed it using these tools of intuition. So beautiful.
That's amazing. These are really great stories.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I hope I've done justice to the story, because it's been years since I've seen it.
It's incredible.
It's a beautiful, beautiful story. She also talks to a parrot that is, they said it's just been freaking out and like banging his head, and she went and talked to it, and he said, "Where's my owner left me?" And it was heartbroken. And they said, yes, the owner just took off and had to go back to America or something and left this parrot, and the parrot was heartbroken, and apparently it died, I think the next day or 2 days later or something. Yeah, it just died of a broken heart. And you don't think that, a parrot's they get emotionally attached too. It's just really...
That's incredible.
Interesting.
Really good examples of using intuition and feeling into it. And it reminds me a lot of this, also the Native Americans, and there was this, and the way they use intuition working in the forest and guiding, for hunting and for trekking, and how intuition is linked with hair and their long hair. Now, there were these experiments done in the military in the United States for Vietnam. They had recruited a lot of Native American guys because they wanted their intuitive trekking skills in the forests to be used in the jungles of Vietnam. Now, when you're enlisted in the military, the first thing they do is shave your head.
Yes.
So all these long-haired Native American guys, get their head shaved, and then they get sent to the jungle, and then their trekking skill, everything is just lost. And they're going, "What's going on? You guys had such intuitive trekking skills when it came to being out in nature." And they said, "You cut our hair off. That's where our intuition is." So it really sparked interest in the military. They started doing these studies where they kept some guys with long hair and others with short. And they realized that the ones with the long hair proved better at intuition than the ones with no hair. But the tribes have been saying this for years, apparently, is their intuition is in their hair. So when you take away the hair, you take away the ability to be connected or to be more intuitive. I thought that was really interesting.
It's fascinating, and I'm wondering how, is hair like antenna?
Well, that's what the science behind it was a theory to do with that perhaps, the hair is...
Well, we have hair inside of our ears.
Yeah.
Why is it hair in there? It's doing something,
Well,
right?
if you think of cats and their
It's carrying
whiskers... Vibrations. And cats with their whiskers.
Yes.
They sense and feel. And even if you see... certain insects, they have very fine hair on their body that are sensors. So I thought that was really fascinating, the link between hair and intuition.
Well, when you shave somebody's head, they still have a little bit of hair on their head. Isn't that good enough, or does it have to be a certain length?
I think that the theory was that it has to be quite long, that there's enough of it there to sense out into the world.
Look at the what's the name of the Cameron movie about the blue people, and they had their
Avatar?
hair. They had their hair. The blue people, they had their hair, and they plugged it into the tree.
Oh yeah,
and connected with the spirit world. So that everything was their hair. Their hair they plugged into their dragon to ride the dragon.
That's right.
I wonder if they
must have done the research.
Yeah.
But if you think about it in history, when it comes time, when people are enslaved or captured or humiliated or downsized, they shave their heads. It's the first thing they do in loads of different cultures.
Well, prison. You go into prison. That's the first thing
they shave your head. They shave your head in the army.
I thought that was for lice.
Yeah,
to keep the lice population down.
Concentration camps all shaved.
Oh. But that was to keep the bugs down, I think.
Yeah, but you kind of wonder...
It's also a humiliation technique, I think.
And it's like taking away your
power.
Strength. And if you think of the biblical story of Samson and Delilah, and she's cut his hair off and he's lost his power. So there's an interesting, connection when it comes to hair that we don't really... if you join the dots, connect the dots, and you see all these different... stories from all around
a play called Hair.
Yeah.
And an album called Hair. Wow, that is really fascinating.
Yeah, it is fascinating, the hair thing. And there's other ways you can sense too, I guess. Some people can sense it through their hands. So Reiki healers can intuitively sense energy within a person's body if there's blocked energy or blocked chakras. And so there's a level of intuition when it comes through that. Also touch too. So there's massage therapists who are able to pinpoint problems just through touch and sensing and knowing and intuition. So people who do body work.
It's all of those things. Yeah, it's a combination of all those senses. I was just thinking about Buddhists and how they're all shaved heads. I wonder why that is. Yeah. Well, it's sort of taking away their self. Yeah. Because they're being committed to the
practice.
Buddha, the practice.
But then you look at Rastas. They all have lots of hair.
Yes.
Or the holy men in India. A lot of them have long hair. Sikh men have very long hair. They wrapped it up in a turban. So there's interesting history with humans when it comes to hair and spirituality. And fascinating. Makes you kind of see your hair in a different way.
I know. I was thinking about it. I was like, well, I had such great long hair when I was younger. It gets shorter and shorter as the years go by.
There's a sense of smell as well. So some intuitive folks are able to smell. I smell danger.
Oh, yeah.
So some people can smell...
I can smell a rat.
Yeah. So you just know, you're like, the old sniffer sniffing away. Something's up,
My nose, I'm like a beagle. I mean, people are like, how can you smell that? I'm like,
Women
I
are
don't
particularly,
Yeah.
especially in our cycles too.
know. Yes.
Certain times of the month, we can smell everything. It's like, I can smell something's gone off in the fridge. No one else can smell it. There's a dead mouse somewhere. No one else can smell it. But even with animals, there are dogs that are able to sniff out cancer in people, or dogs that are able to intuitively know when someone's going to die. There was a hospice in America. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, they're everywhere. Where
There was a dog that would go in and want to cuddle and sleep with a certain
people who
old
are
folk,
ready to go.
and then the person would die the next day.
Yeah.
So the dog intuitively knew.
Yeah.
And they marked it down to that dog's sense of smell is very quite acute.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think some of us humans can smell out things, and it's interesting because you kind of almost get like, I've had it before, not as much as other intuitive gifts or whatever, however, innate abilities or however you want to call them, but you'll get like a quick sense of smell. Like I had one where it was burning, like a fire, like a burning kind of smell, and quick little smells of decay or something, and it's like you're picking up on an imprint of an energy of a place or something that's happened, but it gets your attention.
Yes. I mean, I wouldn't deny anything that you get, whether it's taste, touch, hear, smell, sight, feel, whatever it is. It's not weird, man. It is, just listen to it. It's yours. It is a personalized tracking system for you.
Yeah, so I guess it's safe to say that, we are sensory beings. So within the realms of our sensory system, we can experience intuition through all of our senses. We can get these hits through all of our senses.
Sometimes we specialize in one, sometimes we use them all.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong to any of it. Yeah. I read a story the other day about a girlfriend of mine, somebody I know, on Facebook, where she said she was standing outside, and she said she wasn't able to go outside of her house without just getting attacked by mosquitoes lately. And she saw somebody walking their dog in front of hers, and she went outside to talk to him, and then she said she was talking for a few minutes, and then the mosquitoes started coming, and she was slapping him and freaking out, and the dog looked up at her and jumped up into her arms and just was trying to calm her down. It was like they didn't know it was a service dog, but she said, "Oh my God, this dog is taking care of me right now."
Yeah, amazing.
So cute. He sensed that she was anxious.
Yeah, that's so good.
It's so sweet. Did we not notice this before about animals, or?
I think we've gone more and more disconnected from our planet, more and more disconnected from nature with, how we've moved into the Western civilized industrial complex. Yeah. We've lost all of this connection. It's still there. We're intrinsically part of this planet. But if you think about it, we are so disconnected compared to our ancestors who even had the common knowledge of some of the herbs or the plants that were in their back garden. A lot of us view nature as our enemy now.
No, it's cutting it back.
Cutting it back. Cut the weeds, cut the back. And we have also our points of view about certain animals, like sharks are evil, sharks are bad, wolves are evil. We have these sort of conditioned ideas about even what animals are like, because we built them up as boogeymen in movies or books or Walt Disney,
Yeah, I got a little obsessive about it. I mean, even something like as simple as poison oak, which is there for a reason. Mm-hmm. We need to stay out of its way. We don't need to go cutting it down.
Yeah. So and the remedy is right next to it often.
Yes.
The plant that will help take away the burn is often growing not too far away. Mm-hmm. It's really great. All this, everything's all intrinsically linked this way. But I think we've moved away from our intuition and our dreams more and more because we've disconnected from nature and from earth, and therefore disconnected from our inner worlds and our intuition. Yeah. This is kind of something that happens.
But you know what? It's easy to get back.
Yes.
It's really easy to turn it on. It's just like turning up a flame slowly, and then all of a sudden it's, you're trying to stop it. You're like, whoa, 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 whoa. This is too much fun. I know everything.
So I guess one good way of tuning back into your intuition and your dreaming is spending more time in nature. So just
absolutely,
just sitting in the garden, sitting in a park, just listening, taking in the sights, the sounds, the sensations, being in the present moment. But have this. Try to do this once a day.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been sitting here just looking at the trees out there.
Yeah.
I just love this scene, and there's a little Buddha statue, but just that does something to me. It just connects me. I don't have to be next to it. I can just see it from here and feel like I'm, it calms me down somehow.
You've been listening to the Into a Dream podcast. Join us next time for more conversations with Peggy Sue Honeyman-Scott and Carr.